interviewing Lynn Goldstein today. Today is March 23rd, 2020. My name is Nancy Ungerman, and the videographer here is Clint Reisner.
2012.
2012.
You said 2020.
I certainly did. Oh my gosh.
I hope I'm living it.
Time is flying fast enough. Anyway, Lynn Goldstein, tell me, were you born in Dallas?
I was born in Dallas, Texas. It's St. Paul Hospital. The old St. Paul.
The old St. Paul, and I would imagine you lived in what part of town?
Well, at the time, my folks lived in South Dallas, but they moved right when I was born to Hanover in University Park. So I grew up in University Park.
And when were you born?
October 25th, 1932.
Tell me about your family. Were they born in Dallas?
No, my mother was born just south of Dallas in what used to be called Trumbull, Texas. I don't think the city exists anymore. And my father was born in Long Island. East Hampton, Long Island.
You have a long history of Americans here. What about your great-grandparents?
Well, I never knew any of my great-grandparents because they all died right after I was born. My great-grandparents on my father's side lived in East Hampton.
Your great-grandparents?
Yeah.
Wow.
Lived in East Hampton. And I didn't know my ones that lived in Trumbull because they died before I was born.
Well, I guess I'm trying to get to your origins.
When
did it all begin?
I have no idea. I'm sure they all came from Eastern Europe.
All from Eastern Europe?
That's all I can think because I don't know. I don't study this stuff.
Yeah, you're in the here. Tell me, what got your parents to Dallas?
Well, of course, my mother lived in Dallas. The whole family, my aunts and all of them lived here. My father came here to work for, my mother worked for Brown Candy Company, which became part of NBC. And my father sold dresses, and so he worked for, God, I can't think of their name now, not Lodge, but I can't think of their name.
Now, Lodge of Dallas, maybe?
Yeah, but it was not Lodge of Dallas, it was someone.
What was the neighborhood like that you were brought up in?
Well, I grew up in University Park, and very pleasant. I had lots of friends that lived there. Gerald Ray lived 2 houses away. Harold Kupfer lived on the next street over. Ted Bernstein lived up at the corner. Arnold Sweet lived off of Inwood. And that was the people I grew up with. You know, it was very nice. I remember my mother telling me that when we first moved in, they used to get phone calls that said, you know, Jews, get out of the neighborhood. And my father used to call the FBI and tell them, and then mother told him it was probably the FBI calling. so that, and then, except for that, I really never had anti-Semitism
that was really
University of Highland Park.
Never felt a thing.
Never felt anything. I was in a Boy Scout troop, no, a Cub Scout troop that was by Milton Loeb's mother and George Hurt's mother that both passed away. And, you know, I guess Milton and I were probably the only 2 Jews in the Cub Scout troop, you know, I mean, Cub Scout troop. And so I just never felt anything. I went at the time to every elementary school in University Park.
And tell me about that schools, those schools.
Kindergarten was Bradfield, so I went to Bradfield. in kindergarten. Then I went to University Park, which is all over the lane, until the in the high sixth, they moved us to Armstrong. We were supposed to be bused to Armstrong, but we were bicycles to Armstrong. So, because the schools were not balanced. So, at the time, that was all the schools in University Park, Highland Park School District. They went to junior high and high school.
So you've mentioned these names, Gerald Ray and Arnie Sweet, you've kept all the.
Oh yeah, we
these
still talk. And when I was at Highland Park, there were, you can ask Sorley this, there were lots of Jewish kids in our class. I would bet you 15% of the class was Jewish or not more. I mean, there was lots of Jewish kids in the class. There's not many now, but there was a lot.
They're crawling back now. I mean, there's there's Jews going into.
And I tried to talk my daughter into buying a house in University Park, and they wouldn't buy it. So they have to send two of my grandkids here. They have to send to private school.
Yes.
Which I don't like, but that's life.
It's you almost have to. Tell me about your experiences in college, where you went to college and what you studied.
Gerald, Ray, and I were roommates throughout college. We went to Texas A&M. We went down with Ted Bernstein, who also went. Donnie Zell came down later. Stanley Angris came down later. I know. And there was even a lot of Jewish kids there. But I never really went to the Hillel or anything. That just wasn't any interest to me.
What was the attraction to A&M as opposed to the University of Texas? Everybody I've been interviewing went to A&M. Yeah.
Really? Who else went to A&M?
Well, Gerald Ray, who I'm going to be interviewing. Larry Goldman.
No, Larry Goldman went to the University of Texas.
Oh.
Alvin Goldman went to
Right,
A&M.
Alvin
went to A&M.
Yeah.
Alvin, I think, was a year ahead of us. I don't remember. And but Gerald and I were roommates all 4 years.
What was your major?
My major was civil engineering, and I got a degree in civil engineering, and everybody in those days had to be in the Corps, so we got commissioned, and that was 1954. In the fall of 1954, I was sent TDY to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base to a school at Dayton, Ohio, and then went overseas to Morocco, and then spent a year in Morocco at 17th Air Force, and spent a year in Adana, Turkey at Incirlik Air Force Base.
And then you settled down. How old?
Then I settled down. Not really settled down, but came back here. Sharon and I had met before I went overseas, and so I wrote her, kept writing her and everything. And when I came back, my mother was ill and passed away, and I decided to apply for graduate school. She was going to Mills College, which is in Oakland. And so I went and got a master's in civil engineering at Cal Berkeley. And that was before all the junk at Cal Berkeley.
Yeah.
Just before.
I'm from California.
Yeah.
I was involved in some of that junk.
just before all that junk. I was there at Cal Berkeley, but it was started.
How did you meet Sharon?
How did I meet Sharon? I think my senior year, we came up here for a Corps trip, and a lot of people in our outfit came up. And I asked somebody to get a couple of friends of mine a date, and they got her sharing a date with little Joe Kopeski, which you wouldn't know. And I don't know, we met that way. And then Sharon had a friend from her camp. She loved camp up in New Hampshire or wherever it was. And she had a friend came down there and she got me a date with Tippy. That was her friend. Then we settled down.
That was it. Yeah. Well, I know Sharon, so you're
Yeah.
lucky.
Well, I know her too.
You're lucky.
We've been married
And
a long time.
she's lucky too. How many years?
In June the 30th, it'll be 55 years. So I guess we'll hack it.
Yeah. Your occupation, well, I would assume that you've retired because I see you volunteering.
I retired a long time ago. I went to work for Shell Chemical down in Deer Park. And after Deer Park, we went in the family business, which was making shop towels to sell to the industrial laundries, which was miserable. Miserable stuff.
Why?
And it was just miserable. I didn't like the people. I didn't like the people. And it was probably 25% of the Jewish industry. It was a wonderful industry. Lots of mafia connections and all this stuff. And Lou Dalitz's brother was one of the owners. And,
Okay.
Okay. And so to give you an idea of what was in that bid.
Tell just for the interview who he was. I know who he was.
Okay, well, Lou Dalitz at one time was the controlling guy in Cuba. And then when they had to get out of Cuba, he came here, and that's who Kefauver was investigating. Mo Dalitz is who he was investigating. And so it was the family business, and then we went in to making safety protective clothing, and that was a wonderful protection. We made everything from asbestos protection to chemical protection and all of that. And that was a wonderful day. You really felt you were saving the world, We weren't saving the world, but we helped. So it was interesting, that was interesting. And in 87, I think it was, we sold out to Scott Paper Company. And I had to stay on for 5 years. And the day 5 years was up, I said, cram it.
I'm out of here.
I'm out of here. I couldn't stand big, I'd go up to, they were headquartered in Philadelphia at the time. Now they're part of Scott Paper, part of Kimberly-Clark. And I just hated working for a big company. It was terrible. Yeah, it's terrible.
During your childhood, what were your Jewish affiliations? What temple?
Well, we always belonged to Temple Emmanuel. And, I guess Rabbi Lefkowitz is my hero growing up. Let's see. Well, that's it. I guess a good portion of everybody that went to Highland Park really belonged to Sheriff Israel, a good portion of them. And, that's it. That was my Jewish affiliations, really.
What, were your parents involved?
Yeah, they were kind of involved at Temple, not a lot. I mean, they worked hard, and it was during the Depression when I was growing up, it was a different world.
Mm-hmm.
It was a different world.
How did your family celebrate the Jewish holidays?
Oh, yeah. Passover was always a big deal. We came up from A&M to have Passover, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, And we had a little sukkah in our backyard.
Oh, there you go.
But it really wasn't made. My dad wanted to raise grapes. So the real object was to have grapes. you know. And,
Did he ever make wine?
Yeah, he never made wine, but my oldest son made wine. And that's an experience. I mean, we still have some bottles of it, you know, and they're 35 years old or something. He's over 50.
How many children do you have?
We have 3 children, 3 boys and 1 girl, and 7 grandchildren.
Wait, 3 boys and 1 girl, so you have 4 children?
4 children, yeah.
Okay.
And Amy, the girl, is the youngest, but she has our oldest grandchildren, you know. But my oldest son does Alzheimer's and head injury research at Boston University, and you know, always fighting for grants. My next son is an architect, but he teaches architect at Skyline High School, which is a DISD.
Yeah, sure.
And the number 3 son is in Chicago working for a company called United Envelope. So all 3, let's see, the oldest one got his MD, PhD from Yale. Peter got
And he's the one that's...
during the research.
Yeah, does the research.
Peter, the next oldest, went to Tulane and then went to Yale for a graduate degree in architecture. Bill, which is the youngest son that lives in Chicago, he went to Yale undergraduate, then went and lived for 5 years in Japan teaching English, and he was also the American purchasing agent for a company that bought Apple products. At the time, there was no Japanese duty on computers from the United States. And then,
Did he ever rub elbows with
No.
Mr. Jobs?
no,
Okay.
no, not that I know of.
Okay.
He would have told me if he had. And then Amy went to the University of Denver. And then she worked for Crate and Barrel. She was a manager of their outlet store. And then she married Michael Roseman, Rabbi Roseman's son.
So you have 2 children living in Dallas?
Yeah, Peter lives in Dallas. He has 1 little boy. And Amy has 2 little boys.
More boys? Huh?
More boys.
And what about-
Well, but the Boston or Newton group have 2 girls, and his wife is a psychiatrist, and he really is a psychiatrist. We feel very sorry for them being raised by 2 psychiatrists. You know, and Bill has a boy and a girl. He's the only one that has a mixed family. So we're very proud of him.
Yeah, you're lucky.
Yeah.
And at least you have some of the grandchildren
Here.
Yeah. How old is the oldest? How
The
old is
oldest is Amy's, and he was just bar mitzvah the November the 5th. And the youngest, oh my God, who's the youngest? I guess Peter's son is the youngest, Zach. I guess he's the youngest.
So you were married here?
In Temple.
And-
We think we were the second marriage in the Leftwood Chapel at Temple. I won't guarantee that, and I'm sure nobody knows, but we think we were the second.
Sharon was born in Dallas?
No, she was born in New York, and her parents moved down here when she was 16, and she went to Holland Park, and it was a very bad experience. Being a Yankee at Holland Park.
Probably
And
worse than being a Jew.
yes, right. And but she won't go to any reunions or something. But and we are still very, very friendly with Liz Olin Hirsch. That was our good friend in high school.
Yeah. Well, she didn't have an easy time either, Liz.
No, she said 16 I guess is a rough time to move.
Yeah.
Your location anyway and start a new high school, and she said she went, had her socks rolled down. I think it was rolled down there by Highland Park, wore them up. I mean, it was, you know, I mean, the first day was tough.
After the interview,
Yeah,
let me
yeah.
tell you my experiences
Okay.
moving from Los Angeles. Who were your role models?
Oh, role model. Well, I said Rabbi Lempwitz and Rabbi Klein was certainly everybody's role models, I think. You know, my folks and her folks, and that's about it. I'm not a hero-minded person.
Oh. Are there any concluding remarks that you want
No,
to put in?
no.
Any,
It's been a wonderful life. It's really been a wonderful life.
well, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you. Good interview. Fun.
thank you. So you had trouble at Highland Park? Turn it off. She don't want her.
Okay, we can continue, go ahead.
Okay. There's a PS that I want to put on to this interview because I see your name in so many places. So can you tell me what your activities are having to do with the Jewish community, and not necessarily the Jewish community, but I don't think of you as a retired person.
Okay, well, I've been on the board of National Council of Jewish Women, so that always gets me a laugh. You know, and been on the Temple board. Been on the board of Vickery Meadow Learning Center, which is not a Jewish organization. There's lots of Jewish people go there. I'm on the, I guess, management committee of the food pantry, which we have in Vickery Meadow. We're starting and I'm on the board, or whatever you want to call that, of the community garden we're starting across from Jill Stone School. That's about all in Dallas I've done. I've been on the board and chairman of the Industrial Safety Equipment Association and things like that, but that's different.
Well, that sounds like a pretty full schedule.
Well, it's what I enjoy doing. Because when I retired, I wasn't going to just sit home and read, although I love to read.
Well, I've noticed I've begun sleeping late.
Good.
and
I'm
love
sleeping
that.
later than I used to, too. I used to get up at 5:30 every morning. Turn it off.